Now, what is a cheap camera challenge? Well, I don't really know what it is, but I know what it is not. Now, sometimes you'll see people do a cheap camera challenge with a point and shoot like this that they picked up for 10 bucks, and then they'll call it a cheap camera challenge. But in my opinion, that's not really a cheap camera challenge, because a camera like the Sony point and shoot here or this one here, back in the day, they were actually good cameras and they still take pretty damn good pictures. So to me, that's not really a challenge. A challenge would be something like this right here, guys. The Chuzhao Digital TLR. And why would this be a challenge? Because it has technically poor image quality. So what are the negatives of this cheap camera? Well, first of all, the lens. This is a plastic lens, and so plastic lenses are always frowned upon a little bit, all right? Secondly, it uses a tiny sensor, and so obviously you're gonna have dynamic range issues. You're probably gonna get a lot of clipped highlights. And a sensor as small as the one in this camera is always going to be a little bit crippled, maybe actually a lot crippled, when it comes to high ISO, low light, and nighttime shooting. So this camera would seem like a complete piece of junk, but believe it or not, there are some positives to this camera. And what are those positives? Well, let's go outside and let's talk about it. There are a couple of things that I really like about this camera. First of all, it looks kind of big here, but in reality, it's really small, and it looks almost like a joke, right? So this really helps, for people to not take it too seriously, so you can get those shots. Another thing that I actually love about this camera is the waist level viewing. All right. Now, I understand there's some folks that say that this is not real waist level. Whatever it is, it gives you the appearance of, or it gives you the functionality of a waist level finder, and that helps a lot when trying to get these compositions where people just like a big TLR, people just don't really know if you're actually taking a picture or not. But the thing is, with the Chuzhao, because it's so small, people don't really take it seriously. So those are some great things about this camera. So I recently took a trip for an extended stay in Southeast Asia in two of my favorite countries, Thailand and the Philippines. And among the cameras I brought, I did bring the Chuzhao. Now the Chuzhao actually takes square images. So in this video, whenever you see an image like this right here, just know that it is zoomed in. Now, I'm not completely nuts, or maybe I am, but I did bring more serious cameras on this trip, which hopefully you'll see in other videos. But I thought it would be fun to bring the Chuzhao on this trip because I actually do enjoy using it. Despite all the negatives about this camera that I've mentioned, I actually find it a very fun camera to use. And after all the Leicas, Nikons, and Contax cameras in my life, I do find this camera to be a refreshing and even humbling camera to use. So as a warm-up for this cheap camera challenge, I was taking snapshots in airports. And man, did you know you can get a massage at an airport? I didn't know, but you shouldn't be surprised. This is Thailand after all. But back to the Chuzhao, the limitations of this camera are very real. And the first thing you'll find out is that you need good light. You need a lot of light and also a good subject. So paying attention to two of the most basic and important fundamentals of photography will definitely help you get the best out of this camera. Cut the music. Image comparison time. Here's the shot again from the Chuzhao, and here's the shot from a Leica M9. Let me know what you guys think. Aside from the differences in color, can you guys actually really tell a difference without pixel peeping? And in daylight, you could almost be fooled into thinking that this was shot with your phone camera. And fortunately, you never run out of interesting subjects to shoot in Thailand. Now, although I use the Chuzhao primarily as a snapshot camera, composition is very important too in photography, and whenever I had the time, I always tried to do a nice composition. I also found the camera great for on-the-fly street photography, and these files can convert really well to black and white. Now the camera is fully automatic, so using it in daylight is really not a problem, but when the night comes, for night shots, low light or indoor shots, this is where the challenge comes in. And even though this image of Bangkok at night looks kind of cool, it also has that video camera or security camera vibe that I don't really like, but some of you might like. Now I use this camera a lot in malls in Thailand and the Philippines, and almost nobody noticed, right? So I took this shot right here, and then I moved in a little closer, and like I said, nobody noticed or cared. And I honestly was not trying to be creepy, you guys. I just thought it was a cool shot, all right? And whatever doesn't look good in color actually looks pretty decent in black and white. So this camera can help you polish up your post-processing skills too. And here's an example of using a negative aspect of this camera and turning it into a positive thing. So we know that this camera has a plastic lens and it doesn't do so well for night, low light or indoor shots. And I believe that this camera is also doing some kind of noise reduction. So on this shot, it gave me a really, all the combinations of all these negatives gave me a really nice and dreamy look to this image that I really like. Cut the music. Now here's a comparison shot with the Leica M9, and obviously the M9 has a much higher technical image quality, but it looks almost soulless compared to the Chuzhao shot, in my opinion. Now I must be living in an alternate reality if I actually prefer the Chuzhao shot on this one. But don't worry guys, usually 9 out of 10 times I prefer the Leica M9. And finally, this camera has one other trick up its sleeve, and that is autofocus. As I mentioned in my other video, not many toy cameras have autofocus. And with that autofocus, it also focuses amazingly close. And although I had to shoot this bug many times, I was genuinely and pleasantly surprised at the images I got out of this little toy camera. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, admittedly, these are not my best photos, and the challenge was really for nobody else but myself. But as I've mentioned in this video, it was quite a humbling experience to shoot this camera in everyday situations and not have to rely on the best cameras and the best lenses and the best optics, but going back to the basics of photography just to try to get a good shot. And so that was really what the challenge was all about. And like I said, using this camera can help you get the best out of any camera. So next time you go shooting, grab a cheap camera. It doesn't have to be this camera, but just grab a cheap camera and challenge yourself to try to get the best out of it. And thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will catch you guys on the CameraLegend.com YouTube channel.